baby, we're back once again, and it is a very slow day yet again as well. We've seen just about nothing happen during this past week. The most exciting thing has been a few $1,000 rally, which is at the current moment getting absolutely fucking crumbled. But does it really matter for the greater picture of this asset? Perhaps not. That's going to be what we're going to be at least going into a little bit later within this actual analysis. But of course, we should give a little bit of time for people to join in as well. It is still a rather quiet time in this market. I can't blame people. It's boring as fuck. Like, even if you're a short-term time frame trader, it's just there's not that much interesting moves going on right here. And they take so fucking long to happen. It really just wears out your patience. Anyways, I see a lot of familiar faces here. I see a lot of new faces as well. I see Grandpa, he's back in the cave. Anita Cho, David Middleton, Mig DS, Ultimate Team Dave, Stylistical, long time man. Stylistical, an OG of this, a damn OG of this cave. Mr. Nimbo as well, our lovely moderator. Sunshine Girl, must be new. The Mist, Digital Key. What? Has she ever commented? I don't think I've seen that name. Well, shit. I'm actually quite embarrassed there. I'm quite embarrassed. We have a girl and we haven't given her a proper welcome with hog pics and feet pics and all sorts of things that you can send emoticons to in the comments there. Anyways, I see we have a worldwide community. We have shout out from Bogota Airport from Essential. Bogota is Colombia? Is that Colombia? Oh my God, I'm such an American. I actually really don't know. I think it's Colombia at least. What's up, Mr. Matthew Smeed, Maurice? And yes, indeed. Definitely. Sunshine Girl says, definitely a girl. Yeah, indeed. Yes, we're all females on the internet. I am a female as well, and that's just the way that this cookie crumbles sometime. Anyways, I'll fix this over here. Like I said, we'll give it a little bit of time to kind of before we get into the actual nitty gritty of this one. I'll also post a recording later as well, just for the people who only want the actual analysis. Because I know that there's. And we're also, as Elsa just let me know, we're in the happiest country, Finland. Finland is literally ranked the happiest country yet again. Until you look into the specifics of that data, and it pertains to social security, government obedience, and trust in institutions. Yes, Finland would be the highest in these, I would agree. But in terms of actual fucking smiles, don't know about that one, man. Chicago Trading for the Krown Alpha says Tone Zone. We actually used to live in Chicago myself, man. I actually quite liked it. A lot of people complain about Chicago having a lot of crime and all of this. I didn't see much of that when I was there. I mean, when I was there was most of the 2010s, I guess. And honestly, it was quite nice. It's really a special city, honestly, man. It's so fucking beautiful. Like, in terms of American big cities, I think it's the most beautiful of them all. Way more than New York. It is, and it's more livable than New York as well. I mean, Jesus Christ, man, that place. I've never liked that city. But yeah, let's see. Benny Blanco from the Bronx says, "Hey, dude, I need you to tell me if I'm going to be able to buy at 70,000. Are you going to be able to buy at 70,000? Would I just blindly say right now you're definitely going to be able to buy at 70,000? I'd say a little bit on the lower probability side soon. As of right now, but." I do think that you get a move down to like 75 perhaps, or 76, around our current lows. That certainly would not be anything out of the ordinary here for Bitcoin, man. So, $70,000, that's another almost 10% below that number. A stray wick can end anywhere, I suppose, but it wouldn't be my first target right now. I'm taking things one step at a time here, and for right now, the trend is to the downside. So you're on the right side of the trend, but I do see several things kind of coinciding at the mid $70,000 number that would suggest, let's see if that breaks first. If that breaks, okay, you're probably going to get 70. You probably get a little bit below 70, I would imagine, but. First things first. Anyways, I'm in crypto since 2017. First, I mined. You mined in 2017. Was it viable to mine in 2017? I actually don't know, because that was around the time when crypto was starting to get kind of popular. And that's also around the time that I came in as well. Sunny Turku. Oh, you live in Turku. In Turku, we have another Finnish person here as well. Turku. Okay. Jeez. You wonder why I never speak fucking Finnish, because I just get made fun of all the time by trying. Sounds like turkey. What's the one that we go past? Is it Tamper? That city actually looks quite nice, but I don't think we've never been to Turku, have we? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know what that one looks like. But awesome, man. Fuck yeah, we need more Finns in here. We need more Finns. In fact, it's nice in the summer. It says also most places in Finland are quite nice during the summer. I mean, that's when Finland is the happiest place on earth, I think. Like, holy shit, it is actually perfect. But yeah, man. Can we just hold, says Carlos Creations? Well, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I also don't know what you're trying to do, so I could never have a good answer for you, sir. But if you want to just hold positions, you know, and you're thinking very, very long term, I don't really see much wrong with that, to be honest. Again, from my own perspective, I do hold a bag of corns that I don't touch. I just add to from my trading revenues, and I leave it there. And I don't really do much. I mean, I literally don't do anything with it. And to tell you what I did, you know, not necessarily that this might be the right thing for you or it is. I don't fucking know. But what I did, what was right for me, is that I have a rule: when Bitcoin's down a certain amount of percentage, I will use those trading revenues to go out and buy some more Bitcoin, and just add it to that bag. And again, just not fucking touch it. Just let it stand, because I'm, you know, at least a 10-year sort of horizon looking out for this one, you know, maybe even more than that. So for me, you know, when I'm looking at it from that trajectory, again, I don't need the liquidity right now. For me, that makes a lot of sense. Do I expect that I might go underwater on some of those purchases? Sure, yeah. But, you know, I've been doing this for many years now, and generally, over, you know, given enough time, those losses are recouped and actually returned in a rather in a rather nice way. The myth says what?
I make fun of you. You make fun of me every time when I speak English.
Elsa says, I make fun of her every time she speaks English. I do not. I correct you because you've asked me to correct you, because you don't understand the difference between hands and arms. And this is actually a truth. In Finland, in Finnish, they don't have different words for hands and arms. So Elsa, when she's talking about her arm, she'll say her hands. Like, for example, so silly. We were swimming in the sea once, and we were like swimming really far out, and, you know, just trying to see how far we can get. And then all of a sudden she starts yelling. She's like, my hands, my hands, my hands, my hands are tired. And I'm like, what do you mean your hands are? Just keep on, you know, paddling. Just use your arms. And she's like, my hands, my hands. It's like, what do you mean by this? She's like, and then she starts pointing to her arm. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Your arms are sore probably. It's like, my hands. The myth says, I'm always bullish. I might have bullish up syndrome. I mean, over the long term, it's not like a terrible, I definitely see the allure over the long term. Like, when I came into the market in 2017, 2018, I probably would have just disagreed with that statement, like right at face value. But, you know, after being in this market for a while now, really analyzing the long term, it's like, sure. I mean, the long term, yeah. It's hard to argue against a chart that looks like this, right? Of course, doesn't mean that you can't see short-term bearish and whatnot. That is what I am still leaning towards here. I mean, Bitcoin is still quite literally in a downtrend, so nothing's changed. Literally nothing's changed from yesterday's video to today, except that we're getting the follow through on a lower high that we were kind of looking for on yesterday's video based on off of that hidden bearish divergence. Sunshine Girl says, the coins I'm in the red on my spot portfolio, I leverage trade for the volatility, then use the profits to make the money back that way. I think I understand what you're saying. Makes sense, you know. It makes sense. Again, we all have our different sort of strategies that are relevant to us, and, you know, naturally, different people have different preferences. Different people in different situations, you know, that call for different actions. That's why we have markets. That's why we have fucking markets. Not everyone's trying to do the same damn thing, are we? Anyways, Grandpa says we love you, Elsa. Yes, we do love Elsa. Elsa is great, but she also says stuff like like one time she was getting really excited about something, like something was about to happen, and she's like, yo, shit's about to get down. Like, I don't think that's the way that you say that one, actually. It's like, that sounds like you're about to drop a deuce, bringing the fucking kids to the pool, right? But then I told this story once in the past, like maybe a year ago. This was a long time ago. And someone in the chat said something that I've thought about almost every day since then. And he said, shit's about to get hands. And I've been laughing about that for like a year now. I wonder if he's still watching, because that was fucking great. What's up, Nikki Page? Good morning to you as well. Another one of our lovely moderators. We got Thornton Parker, Nexus Algo, Luis Rodriguez. Yeah, how do they say armpit then? Who knows? Who knows? Only the Finns shall know. Anyways, I'll read a few more of these comments here, then we'll get to the actual content of the day. We've waited about 10 minutes. I think that's probably enough. We got about 600 people in here as well, which is, good enough. Again, for a time like this, I mean, things are rather boring, but it is really interesting to me, just as kind of like an off-topic thing. Bitcoin, I mean, from my point of view, and I think from a lot of people's point of view who have been on this channel for even the last like 2-3 years, seeing Bitcoin above $80,000 is like, holy shit, this thing's on the fucking moon, man. Like, it's actually on the fucking moon right now. But the rest of the market, I guess, just does not see it in that way, because for the rest of the market, this is a very, very boring time, despite Bitcoin being at, levels that I probably would have laughed at, 5 years ago. So perspective is everything, obviously. And we got the true believers in right now. And well, I suppose that's the way that it is. We have Caveman32, great name. He says, been watching your channel for more than 2 years. I think been the best roller coaster of my life. Yes, sometimes good, sometimes bad listening to this channel, but I try to do my best, man. But as always, I'm going to be wrong massively from time to time. It just happens. Anyways, Elsa, when I hear your voice, a part of my soul feels lighter, but a part of my brain itches more than a cactus thrown at my forehead. Yeah, it do be like that sometimes. It do be like that sometime, man. No, that's one of the reasons why I love Elsa. It's so light being around her. You just relax. You just relax because she's just in her own fucking like floaty fairy world, I guess. Anyways, Dweb says, Krown Bro, what are your YouTube stats like at the moment? Be interesting to see if they've decreased alongside volume and chart. Yeah, I can actually show you them. I mean, why not? We can start off with this. In fact, I mean, you guys have seen this many a time, so let's bring it up over here. You can see I've made a whole almost 4,500 this month. Holy shit, I'm gonna be fucking rich. It's time to look for a house. But let's go to the lifetime for this one and see what we're looking at in the greater scheme of things. And yeah, man, as you would imagine, the views as of right now are literally some of the lowest that we've seen in the past 2 years, in the past 2 whole years, even quite comparable with the sort of summer, the early portion of the 2021 rally. That's when things really exploded on this channel. But yeah, in recent times, pretty low levels. You would expect that again, when things are rather boring. I think that we're going to be waiting around for a while anyway. So, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But I still, I just enjoy doing these videos, man. It's not only that I enjoy it, it's also like a literal fucking it's like an OCD tick, honestly. I just feel like I have to do it every day. It also keeps me on top of my game and paying attention to things as well. But yeah, man. So I don't have no plans to stop. I mean, shit, man. Even if just one person was watching these videos, I'd still probably do them. Like, that's how this channel started, to be honest, man. That's how this shit started. I think a good shit post on Twitter makes you more Elon bucks than YouTube videos right now. Probably, yeah. I'm not super active on Twitter, but so I don't really know what their revenue models are like there, but I think that there's just more interest in Twitter right now. It's a more interesting place, lots going on there. You see all of the news. They've got their algorithm totally tuned up to feed you all of the stuff that you don't want to see, but you do want to see because you want to, because it makes you enraged and it makes you want to engage with it. But yeah, man, I can also humbly admit that I've been scrolling Twitter way too much as of recent times. I don't know what the hell's happening to me, but it never ceases to be interesting. I don't know fucking why. I don't know why. I've watched the documentaries that tell you how bad these social medias are. I'm not on anything else. I don't care about Instagram. I don't care about TikTok. I mean, I don't even literally have a TikTok. YouTube is easy, but Twitter, Jesus, man, it's like I can't fucking stop. I cannot fucking stop. It is crazy. Yeah, the OCD is keeping me in check, which it's kind of a blessing, kind of a curse, I guess. Anyways, we'll get to the super chats a little bit later. I'll get into the actual what's it called? I'll get into the actual analysis in a moment here. David Middleton actually has a wow, holy shit, man. I remember it always used to be you and only like 500 to 1,000 viewers, especially in the bear. Yeah, somewhere around there. You know, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But I'm still glad that people are around here because, well, that's also makes it a little bit more fun as well. Anyways, I'm gonna take a last sip of this, then we'll get into the actual analysis.
I like fun.
You like having fun? Oh yes, I bet you like having fun, traveling, and hanging out with friends. That's what people say on like their dating profiles. They go, like, a little bit about me. I like having fun.
Also,
I like
good food.
And I like good food, yes.
Drinking wine.
And drinking wine. Something like that. All right, let me get my notes out over here. Let's make sure that we got this all lined up so it has a good flow on this one. I'm trying to dial in my actual YouTube presentation. It's a skill in itself, honestly, and I've denigrated it for quite a long time. All right, gonna start off there. Then yes, okay, we got that. All right. In yesterday's video, we were looking at a likely pullback from this rally, as this rally is not so convincing just yet. We were looking at some hidden bearish divergence on the lower timeframes that has now played out. And the question is, what is next? And just to give you the very, very short answer, because I know that a lot of people like the short answer at the beginning, we'll just front load the content value. Short term, Bitcoin still bearish, still most likely to go to the downside. But I'm still looking at this as an overall range play. Now that Bitcoin has rejected from yesterday's high, we could actually move down the pivot for calling this a potential reversal from priorly at 92,800. Now we can move it down all the way to yesterday's high, essentially. Anyways, before we get to the actual content of this video, I do want to let you know that we still have our sale and free trial period going on. You can get 20% off of any one of the programs or services here on the Teachable School, which you can find a link to in the description below with the code YEAR7, year in all capitals, and then just the number 7. And then also, if you want to try out any one of these indicator services here, these monthly subscriptions, you can actually try them out for free. It's completely risk-free. Like, there's literally no fucking hidden agenda with it. It's purely to give you the opportunity to try them out and see if it's relevant for you or not. And if you like them, you can obviously buy them, even with the discount as well. Or you don't. You don't have to pay a fucking cent if you don't want to. But that'll apply for the Quant Prime, which allows you to automate your trades. That applies for Caretaker's full indicator bundle, the quantum wave bands, and of course the VMP indicator as well. Anyways, we'll get into the actual analysis now, and let me just reorganize my notes over here. Okay, beautiful. So yeah, from yesterday's video, we are looking at hidden bearish divergence all the way up to about a 4-hour/6 hour time frame. 6 hour time frame did have a higher RSI reading here compared to the highs that we saw from the 6th of May. This is also consistent on the 4-hour time frame as well. And well, there is your hidden bearish divergence. Now, the Caretaker's RSI is not picking it up here because my look back is shorter than these two peaks. But in this case, I kind of superseded what I was looking at here, and looked at this and it's like, all right, that's clearly another lower high. Bitcoin got rejected right below that 200 simple, which has been arresting all of these rallies since beginning of February. And on top of that, something that I made a Twitter post on yesterday, which I did not speak about in yesterday's video, but we can cover very quickly here. The daily RSI has been getting rejected around the 50 read ever since that same time. Early February. Anytime that we've seen a spike up, like we see, let me actually mark these off so you can see as well. Like we see right here, like we see right here, like we see right here, and most recently, yesterday as well. These have all been rejections correlating with these lower highs within this overall downtrend. So as long as Bitcoin is following the lower highs, the trending lower highs here, I do look at it as bearish, do look at it as more likely to come to the downside. I don't think that we're done just yet to the downside. I'm not necessarily calling for Bitcoin to make new lows, however, however, than the March lows. I do think it's actually very possible that Bitcoin might reaccumulate between these two major moving averages, that white 200 simple and that blue 377 exponential. Again, that is where we have found a lot of the major lows for even this cycle, going back to last year in these massive fucking accumulation phase right here. It did take a long time to play out, though. Do be aware, like it was multiple months for that to really play out. But long term, in hindsight, buys in between that region were long term good dues. Same thing over here from the summer of 2023, and of course we can go to past cycles before this as well. I've probably already beaten this horse to death in prior videos, but here's the thing: in the short term, as long as Bitcoin is below the daily 200 simple moving average, which is that white moving average here that I'm currently pointing my cursor towards, which is at 84,645. Downside is a more likely thing, and it's hard to be even short-term bullish, as long as you're below there. Bitcoin is quite literally more likely to come to the downside. Like I said, doesn't imply that it's going to literally make new lows from here, but if it came back down to $80,000, that wouldn't be super surprising. Of course, if Bitcoin starts to actually, really come below that 377 at 75 or 76,000 bucks, it is rising after all. That's at the point where I'd say, hey, you're probably looking at upper 60s / very low 70s, like 70 to 71, or it would be a range like 68 to 71, let's say. But for right now, I still can kind of see the bull hopium over the more medium / long term, where perhaps Bitcoin, let me actually just draw this one out, comes down here, sets another low, hopefully a slightly higher low, reverses, and then takes out this high. If we saw something like that, okay, there's going to be some hopium, should be a decent rally, and probably see another move, into the at least mid 90s, probably even deep 90s if that were to happen. But one thing before the next, and again, bearish as long as below these levels. And of course, we do have major closures coming in later tonight that we're going to see the closure for the daily. Obviously, we're going to see CME's weekly closure. We're going to see the 5-day closure and the 10-day closure. So I want to see where all these momentum pivots are at as of current. And we can see that, let's actually go to CME for this one. We can see that CME, daily stochastic oscillator, will turn down if Bitcoin closes today below 82,200 or so. So right now, trading almost $2,000 above that pivot. On top of that, if we go over to let me go to the 2-day time frame. 2-day time frame will also turn down below 81,130. So, it does have a bit of a buffer here, and this actually does look like it wants to try a short-term, at least a short-term move there. 3-day time frame will turn down freshly below 83,700. This one not closing tonight, by the way. That's going to be tomorrow. And then we got the big ones. The 5-day. 5-day is going to continue down if Bitcoin fails today below 83,350. So that would be the next sort of short-term momentum pivot that I'd be aware of for tonight's closure, because if Bitcoin is below 83,350, again, more than likely we're going to see at least another try below 80,000 bucks. And of course, we can then extrapolate that onto the 10-day time frame. This one's probably not going to be flipping around anytime soon. The current pivot is basically 106,000 bucks. I'm curious to see where the next pivot comes in for tomorrow. Hopefully that gets massively reduced if Boolaws are going to have a chance in hell here. But we should also be looking at the weekly for CME, because that one is closing today, and that one is going to have downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below 96,700. So we kind of see a bifurcation between what I refer to as like the lower end of the higher term timeframes, that being like the daily, 2-day, 3-day, versus the upper end of the higher term timeframes like the 5-day, 10-day, weekly, monthly, these sort of things. All of the higher end of those are still like pretty aggressively pointed to the downside. However, with the lower end of that spectrum, pointed up right now, it does make me think that Bitcoin's probably not going to break down here, at least not from this current positioning. Without another bounce attempt. So I could easily see Bitcoin, like I said, following something similar to this LARP line right here, and then trying an actual rally, probably above 90,000 bucks. But first things first, let's see the response after Bitcoin most likely comes to the downside here. Anyways, I will end on one last thing, actually. Where is it? Yes. Okay. One last thing on the hopium side. We spoke about this yesterday briefly as well, but the 5-day HPDRO, the directional volatility oscillator, is still pointed up right here. It is technically not above the moving average as of right now, but if we do see it close something like this by the end of today, and that confirms, that would be more on the hopium side as well, because we have seen all these moves down to that similar region as major lows within this current bull market. So, that's, I guess, a little bit more comforting. Again, not the best timer of lows, although it has timed the lows extremely well on just 2 of these times, but definitely in terms of price, it has been extremely close to the low, if not the low. So I do look at this as rather relevant. And then of course we should go check out the quantum wave bands. Of course, the quantum wave bands are on trial as well for the. Did I give out the code? It's trial in all capitals. Holy shit, I probably didn't do that. It's trial in all capitals. There you go. Anyways, this one has not had a new trade since we last spoke yesterday. You can see that it has been doing consistent small scalps throughout this whole move, really, to the downside. So I do like that. Anyways, you can look at the quantum wave bands similar to the meta signals in that it gives you probabilistic setups, tells you where it would want to enter and where it would want to exit, and of course, it gives you essentially training wheels onto what sort of direction you should be kind of angling your trades. Not that it's going to be perfect, but over the long period of time, it's stood up to the test of time at this point. At least in my opinion, all strategies will have a short shelf life over a long enough period of time. But for now, still doing it well. And yeah, that's where we'll end things for today. We'll continue on with the live stream now too. So if you are watching this at a later time or a later date, you can join in on the live streams as well. All you need to do is just, subscribe to this channel and pay attention for Tuesday and Fridays, because that has been our live stream schedule times. All right, there we go. See you in the next one. Lovely. Okay, now let me see what Elsa has put up over here. I see that there's a few super chats right now, so let's get to that. Mr. Donass 007 says Perk USD. Okay, Molly's Percocets. Let's see, Perk USD. Okay. Perion. All right. So this is a new one. You guys always find new shitcoins for me. Wow, man. I would have never imagined that it would have such a beautiful, glorious, amazing chart. How could you possibly show me something so amazing on my first fucking request of the day that has only ever gone down and is now going to face the consequences that will never be the same? We're dropping the fuck this thing. This thing will only ever go down. However, I say that in jest because at some point you're going to see bounces, but this thing is heavily, massively, unbelievably bearish as long as you're below even 12 cents. But I mean, shit, I'd even move that pivot up to 20 cents. And is it going to bounce here first before moving lower? I don't know, but the long term is down. The long term is down. The long term is down, and that's how it does. Don't be a derp. Smash the like, says Matthew Smead. There we go. Don't be a derp. Don't be a derp. I like it. That's a good saying. Don't be a derp. Don't be a derp. Anyways, yeah, daily, weekly, both ugly as hell, man. I mean, this thing, again, it's maybe gets one of these pumps out of the blue. That's not my game. It's in my opinion that is just luck. If you buy down here and you sell up here, long term the direction is very, very clear for this thing. It'll be to the downside. So all rallies, in my opinion, are sales on something like this until it proves itself with an uptrend, which it is it is so extremely far away from doing that it's not even. I don't think it's relevant to talk about right here. I mean, shit, like I said, even a 2x move from where it's currently at actually wouldn't even do it for me. I really want to see this thing back above 20 cents. And even there, I mean, that's kind of where you would expect like some massive trending lower high, to be honest. Down 80%. Max hopium, please. Max hopium is that you get one of these, but you better fucking use it to get the hell out as well. At least that would be what I would be thinking in that situation. Anyways, we'll get to Jogan now. He says, I think it's PP time. It's PP's time. Sure, man. We can get some PP action over here as well. I love the pee-pee time, actually. Yes, indeed. Yes, give it in and around my mouth as well. Anyways, looking at what, really, you're going to judge me for that? Like, fuck you. PP right here is similar to Bitcoin, right? In the very, very short term, is this going to be the next lower high? It's actually, funnily enough, this one in the last couple of days is a little bit stronger than Bitcoin. But I don't think it's going to be different than Bitcoin. Ultimately, it is still within a downtrend, and I am looking at this as a high probability for the next lower high. But similar to Bitcoin, I have a hard time seeing a move to new lows from here without like a bigger bounce. Doesn't mean I'm going to be right on that, but I think that is the more high probability thing. I still think that this LARP line right here is about right, and at some point, you get a pretty decent bounce up to this blue moving average here, which is 105,000. Whatever the fuck number that is. But yeah, I don't think it's immune from Bitcoin's moves. And I do think that Bitcoin comes down here. So I'd be looking for this thing to come down, somewhere closer to the lows. Maybe it makes a slightly new low. Maybe it makes a slightly higher low. I don't fucking know. I don't think it's going to be trading below like this long-term range low here. And then, I do think that you'd be in for probably a very big bounce. So yeah, man, hopefully that was helpful as well for some PP time. Nick A says, Bitcoin 5-day Gaussian channel worth a look. I really haven't looked at the Gaussian channel in a long time. Kind of became a bit of a... I have so many indicators that I look at, but it became a little bit of a meme of itself. Anyways, let's look at the 5-day here. Okay, this is actually very interesting to me. Okay, wow. I'm actually glad that you brought this up. I am glad that you brought this up because as of right now, Bitcoin continues to hold above the top side of the 5-day Gaussian channel. That is officially at 82,870. Oh, I'm gonna get a call from my doctor at some point during the stream. I'm sure, just like last time, my sex change operation is going to be going very well. Yes, indeed. Anyways, Gaussian channel right here. This 5-day time frame is closing tonight. So if Bitcoin does close below, let's call it $82,500, that does put it in a position to potentially come down. After that, somewhere closer to the median. The median is currently at $73,500. That will obviously rise when we get the new open tonight. And from last period to the current period, it rose how much? It rose about almost $1,000. So that probably rises up to, about $1,000. That probably rises up to like 74 and a half to 75. 75, again, could make easy sense to me. Looking at Bitcoin here, that would be essentially where the blue 377 exponential moving average is. You can even see the bottom side of the daily Gaussian channel kind of governing these highs here as well. So, a lot of things saying, hey, this is not the time in the immediate future to be bullish on this thing. I mean, it's like at least as long as it's below this region, I'd even say below this high right here. So we shall see. Anyways, let me read the rest of your comment as well. If price loses support at the top of the band, perhaps the meeting could be a price target. Yeah, that's exactly how I'd interpret it. Similar to what you saw back here from last summer. You see the break into the top side of the Gaussian channel range, and it's been some time. It doesn't come down all in one day. That's what I really want to be like. Fucking hammering him because I think a lot of miscommunication happens between like higher timeframes like this and expecting a move much sooner than what you are probably going to get for a 5-day time frame. I mean, this one took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 5-day time frames. Took a full fucking month, 30 days. From closing inside to come down and test that region. So it could take a long time. We saw the same thing actually 2 summers ago as well on this major correction here. Again, Bitcoin closed below. It takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5-day dildos right there in order to test the median. So that's 25 days. So, if it does close below here, could it still be like a month of kind of sideways, maybe a slightly new low, comes somewhere around $75,000 and then tries another bounce? Yeah, it could very easily be that. And what do you know? That would make this market infinitely more boring as well, which in some ways is really how markets are supposed to work. They're supposed to force capitulation of people by any means necessary. That can be both from pain of seeing, a catastrophic loss immediately, or from boredom. Boredom is a great way to do it as well. Different people respond differently to both of those. Anyways, Shibanachi says, Justin, Satoshi sees thousands of altcoins and yells, I left for 10 years, and y'all turned Bitcoin into the McDonald's menu. We turned the crypto market into the McDonald's menu. You got all the fucking dollars. You got all the dollar menu going on there with these damn shit coins. But Yeah, man. Again, I'm like a 99% Bitcoin maximalist. I do think that there are, good ones out there as well besides Bitcoin. I just don't spend my time looking at them, and I don't really care, to be honest, anyways. Just not my game. Anyways, I'm going to read some more of these comments over here. Let's see what else we got. If there's any more requests or if there's any, I don't know, just interesting conversations. Let's see what we got going on. My mother's my sister. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I think Adam Back and Peter Todd clearly have Satoshi chained up in the basement as their gimp since the Grateful dive. I know that there was some speculation that Peter Todd might be Satoshi. I know that he's also come out and said that he's certainly not. But when I first came into the crypto sphere, the person who brought me in, I remember he directly pointed out Peter Todd, and he's like, "Look, if you're going to listen to anyone about Bitcoin, listen to this guy." And just kind of stick with me ever since. Chairs or McDonald's menu. There you go. Anyways, Lenny wants to look at Aave. All right, let's check it out. At AAVE. All right. Aave. Yeah, this one coming down quite hard as well. Not having the same bounce that Bitcoin had. Already looking a little bit weak here. I do think that this one probably retests around these lows. Again, very similar to Bitcoin. Does it retest around these lows? Yeah. Is that going to be a slightly higher low, a same low, or a slightly lower low? I don't fucking know, but I don't think it's going to break down and have like a massive move towards, 150 or 140 from here. I think you're going to see maybe at worst like a retest of these lows are slightly lower. Then it pops up relatively quickly. You get 3 drives of bullish divergence here on, a higher time frame like the daily, and then it actually plays out a pretty big bounce. I'm curious what the higher term timeframes look like as well. Yeah, long term must bounce here. Otherwise, it's going to be much lower. Around this current low. Like I said, again, it can retest this low. I think that would be completely fine. I think it probably even happens somewhere around there. Just don't want to see much below that low. If you do start to see below that low, 150 is not going to be the target, and 140 is not going to be the target. 120 is going to be the target. And I could make a good argument that that's even maybe more likely to happen here. I mean, this is one massive range. You just test the top side of the range. Typically after that, you at least test the middle. So let's see where that would be. That would be 125. I guess it's not so crazy after all. Let's see. What about any divergences to be aware of? Yeah, monthly does have bearish divergence possible there, but you could also argue that that's mostly played out. I mean, this has already been from top to bottom a 60% move. Yeah, it's like... I think that's probably enough. Anyways, Pisa says, "Good morning, Mr. Krown." Good morning, sir. Could you take yet another look at XRP? I always enjoyed these live streams. Awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that, man. I enjoyed them a lot too. It keeps this channel fresh. Anyways, XRP. Amongst the majors, I do still think it has the best chart comparatively to all the other majors, just because it's not in the same sort of precarious position that most of the other majors are in. But to be very fucking clear, do I think that something like XRP is going to move up to new all-time highs while Bitcoin goes sideways and down, or just isn't even doing much? No, I don't think so. I think that XRP here, similar to Bitcoin, is putting in another local high right here. That was essentially yesterday's high. It would also be a slightly lower high than the 6th of March, and that would actually create some hidden bearish divergence as well. I don't look at this as like a fucking existential crisis that this thing's going to crash to new lows, but could it, similar to Bitcoin, come closer to the range lows, like somewhere between $2 to $2.15? Yeah, I do think so. As far as the higher term timeframes go, again, compared to all the other majors, the Ripple chart actually is the best one of all the majors comparatively. It is the strongest one. And I'm not saying this as like someone who loves Ripple or anything like that. It's just a fucking fact right now. So yeah, as long as the monthly is above that red 5 exponential moving average, it's hard for me to be like really bearish. If it starts to lose that moving average, or really trade below the February low, I suppose at that point I could actually look for a breakdown, maybe closer to like 1.25. But for right now, this would be the one that XRP would probably be the biggest winner if Bitcoin had anything resembling like a decent bounce. You even can see multiple drives of hidden bullish divergence potentially coming off of this low. It has yet to confirm this last drive right here. It will if today closes above 247.5, but it's a long day left to go. And I think in the short term, downside is more likely, like I said. So yeah, got that. Curious what it looks like from our momentum also perspective, or sorry, stochastic momentum perspective. Daily remains up, but this to me looks like a bearish reset. 5-day down, 10-day down heavy, weekly down heavy, monthly still up by the grace of God, I guess. But yeah, man, I think that you're generally going to be coming a little bit sideways, a little bit down. Not expecting like massively new lows here, but a test somewhere close to the bottom side of the range and then bounce. And we pick it up after that. Anyways, we got Jacob Virgil D. Dios. Good morning, sir. BitF Daily Weekly. Okay, I know you love this Bit Farmer thing. Let's see how it's doing. I'm guessing it's a miner. I don't believe we looked at this chart in a very long time, but my LARP lines here remain alive, and apparently it's played out that LARP line quite well. I wasn't expecting that. I literally haven't looked at this thing in many months now. Every once in a while, those LARP lines work, don't they? Anyways, this one coming back down to one of your last, like, most important monthly lows, which is just right here from October of 2023. It's like you're most likely going to bounce around these regions without going significantly lower first. I'm not saying that it can't roll over later. In fact, I think it probably does roll over later, but I do think that you're very likely going to bounce. Again, you're right around that last prior low, just by the virtue, which is not much, of being around those sort of major higher lows or lower highs, in this case, a higher low. You're going to see you're very, very likely to see a response around there. But this thing, to my eyes, is really bad. So let's say that this thing bounced up 50%. Okay, I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying it's going to bounce up 50%, but it could bounce up 50% to 150 quite easily. It doesn't do anything for it. It doesn't change anything. This thing is long-term bearish as long as you're below the breakdown point, which is about 180. So you could have a big fucking bounce here, like a 50% bounce, and still roll over. I think long-term, the direction, the ultimate destination is the same, probably somewhere down around here to fill this gap at 55 cents. I do think that over a long enough period of time, it probably will come close to there. That probably would also be a really good place for like a major low, again, before a big rally, and maybe this thing turns into like one massive accumulation between the two green bars right here. But for right now, that would still be, I guess, more or less bearish. Nice. Or maybe not nice. I mean, it's pretty bad. Anyways, we'll go to Coinbase now for Jacob as well. And this one always near and dear to my heart, although I'm not a big fan of it as of recent. I was a fan of it over here once it broke down in mid to late February. It's like, I'm going to be wrong on this one, I think, and certainly was. Anyways, this one similar to Bitfarms in the sense that it is around a last major low for a higher time frame. This being a weekly time frame, probably going to bounce around here. I do think that the daily has a little bit more of a bounce in it, perhaps all the way up to like 205, 207 region. Do I think it's going to reverse from this exact moment? I wouldn't call it that, but I do think you're going to get a bounce. If the bounce by some miracle, it doesn't necessarily have to be a miracle, but if the bounce can get back above 240, I would say, hey, this actually looks bullish now on the higher term timeframes. But until then, I do think you're going to get a bounce here, but I'd be looking for lower highs in the low 200s, essentially monthly. Yeah, again, like, it's similar to Ethereum on the monthly stochastic oscillator. It's had so many chances in the past year to flip momentum back to the upside, but it continues down now, losing the bullish control zone. This one will remain down by the end of this month if Coinbase is still below 245. So that would be my pivot for kind of switching around my own opinion, 240 to 245 region. Until then, I'm starting to treat this like an actual reversal, but we'll see. I mean, I guess should probably give at least the benefit of the doubt to a bounce right here and then come back and analyze it after that. Anyways, Heath Heath Damon says, Spy Krown, what is happening with it medium term? I like to look at SPY futures. Actually, I know it's not the exact same, but I feel it's an easier chart. Medium term to me means over the next like couple weeks. And as far as medium term goes, it's very similar to Bitcoin here on this rally. Got rejected yesterday right below the 200 simple. Bitcoin got a little bit above, but it's a rejection around this major moving average nonetheless. I do think next move is to the downside. Does this take like a couple weeks to happen? I don't know, probably. But something like this, similar to Bitcoin, does it come back down, test the low, make a slightly new low? You know, what is it going to exactly be? I don't fucking know. But somewhere in this area right here looks pretty damn good. And from there, I'd be expecting a bounce. And if there is going to be a reversal, I expect it to come off of that bounce, or just really not going any lower than about 5,400. Yeah, I mean, time will tell on that one. So I could still be bullish long term, but when I look at the monthly, it's, oops, wrong one. Hey, where's my moving averages? Can't find them. There we go. All right. Yeah, I mean, the monthly really easily could be like a more long-term consolidation sideways and lower. That is a general sentiment right now in the markets as well. Maybe that's a counter signal. A lot of the time these are, but a lot of the talk from the macro perspective, from the fundamental perspective is that, okay, we're probably going to enter into something resembling a recession soon because, well, it's a lot of turmoil going on around the spheres, and well, we should be expecting a corrective period for the stock market. In fact, some of Trump's cabinet members, or I don't know if they're called cabinet members or not, but just some of the people in his administration who are at the higher level, they've quite literally said, just about that, expect a bit of pain. So, how long does something like that last? Well, I have no fucking clue what they expect, but I would hope not longer than like a couple of years at least. Jesus, you're going to lose a lot of people if that does take a long time. Anyways, what's up, Fingless? Adjusts so sprawn. What? Wait. What is this word, sir? What is this word? Very nice. All right. I'm here for yours. Stop counting. Blame Elliot for that. Fuck yeah, man. I love Elliot. I'm glad that he's still making videos as well. I think he does a really, really good job of being balanced, and he's of like the big channels on YouTube, of the big ones, who have like big fucking followings, bigger than 500,000. I think he's probably one of the most reasonable, if not the most reasonable. Sporian. I don't know what this word means, man. Until we have a new government. Yeah, could be. Pay $2, speak to master. Yes. Give me the funds, and then I open my mouth. That's how it works. Anyways, scrolling through some of these comments, just want to see. Hey, what's up, SB? He says, hey, Krown, very, very long time. I know, man. You were once an OG of this channel. Can you check out ICP? I can check out. Let's actually do Ondo for you. Don't want to do both of these, but I imagine ICP is absolute garbage. But Ondo, because I know this one's also popular. Again, similar to Bitcoin, similar to most things that we've seen today. Look, this is a rejection again. I do think it's going to come closer to the lows, whether that's 78 cents or whether it's all the way down to like 70 cents. I don't fucking know, but I don't think you're breaking down to like significantly new lows on this exact drive. I think, it's going to look something like this. You come down close to that low. I mean, my large line's already there, but, and then bounces, and we'll see how high the bounce gets. Long-term, hard one to love, I mean, it is better than most shitcoins, right? Because at least it has weekly higher lows. And monthly as well, but the monthly really does look like a major top to me, at least as of current. Again, I can be massively wrong in that, but let's give it a chance to bounce first. I mean, the weekly is getting pretty beat up here already. It wouldn't take too much to get this thing on a pretty big bounce. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be headed much lower than where it's currently at, if at all, before a big bounce, but need that bounce to reclaim a critical region. Where would that critical region be? I'd have to say the March highs. Yeah, and that's quite far away. It's quite far away, about a 50% move from where it's currently at. I guess if anything, I mean, shitcoins could probably do that. Shitcoins do their thing. King Sock says, hey, Mr. Herp Derp, your intro needs an epilepsy warning. Not happening, sir. Please do Cardano. Thank you, sir. All right, Carderpo over here. It was kind of similar to XRP about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, looking a lot different than most of the other majors. But as usual, whenever you see a bifurcation between one of the majors and the rest of them, it's the rest of them that they all kind of gravitate towards rather than the outlier. But Cardano here, I'm looking for something obvious. I do think in the short term you are going to come down and probably test somewhere around 65 cents again, but that's not the same thing as a breakdown here. This thing is in a daily trading range. It has been for a long time. In fact, we only need two magical lines here. One magical line right here and one magical line right here. Does it come close to this low? Does it make a slightly higher low? I don't fucking know, but I'd be looking for a move somewhere down around this region and then a bounce. And if the bounce can bring it back above 85 cents, I'd say, okay, this is looking like reaccumulation. This is looking like the next major monthly high or low, and we should be looking for prices well above $1. Maybe in the month or in the month or two to follow, but needs to hold that low, needs to have a big bounce off of this low on the around the next pass. So like I said, anywhere between 65 cents to 57 cents is kind of my low end of the range here. I think you'll get somewhere within there, and then just want to see a big bounce. And what you definitely do not want to see is it go anywhere below last month's low. That would be my absolute. That would be also another major line in the sand for getting massively bearish on this. But you can see a reversal here on Carderpio. To be fair, at least on the monthly. I mean, you have low, you have high, higher low, higher high. So it is in a monthly uptrend. I'm not going to hate that. And it isn't a fresh trend here as well. So you expect that if this thing is bullish, if it is bullish long term, we don't expect lower than February's low. We expect it to bottom out around here, maybe after one more test to the bottom side of the range. So yeah. Cool. Stonks get wrecked. Mo Sanchez says, when Sims. Yeah, man, me and Jason have spoken about it from time to time, but right now is not the right time, man. There's not so much interest in the market, and it's just it's more fun when things are more fast for a podcast like that. Still love Jason, still love his brother as well. It's just we don't really have we don't really have like the right timing for it right now. Shibanachi says, my wife's boyfriend is a good trader. Well, that's nice. Does he also give some of the winnings to you as well? I mean, that's very generous as well. Nice. And he's a good trader and generous. I like it. I like it a lot. Crypto is the idiocracy leading indicator. Is it? A lot of it is. Yeah. Crypto's interesting because you have some of the absolute smartest, most intelligent, impressive people working in cryptocurrency. And then you have literally the opposite side of that spectrum as well, like basement dwelling, drooling, herpity derps that, I'll just send it right there. You get my point. The opposite of that. I think you have both, honestly. He buys the groceries. Joke's on him. Yeah, with all the inflation, I can agree with that. I looked at the prices in the grocery stores when we were in Florida. And it's like, damn, this is like 2 or 3 times what it was when I was living in the States only 7-8 years ago. Crazy shit, man. Crazy shit. It looks like we are going to eat McDonald's for now and then off to Dubai to ride camels after summer. That's right. After you get shitted on and pissed on by Sheikh Mo. I don't know. One of the sheiks. There are a dime a dozen, I think. Everyone's a damn sheik or a prince. Definitely not in a bull run. No, it's. I think that much has been quite obvious. Especially starting here, February 24th on that first leg of the breakdown. That's where we on this channel said, okay, the hopium is going out the window now. Get ready for lower. It is what it is, man. What's up, Ollie Knight? It has been a long time, man. Hope all is well, dude. It's cool to see a lot of the OGs come back to this channel during these slow times, which is essentially when this channel began, like many moons ago. Crazy stuff, man. Heathrow closed today due to a fire. You mean that's the airport in London, ain't it? I was there once. I fucking hate that airport, man. It's a zoo. It's really hard to get through. It didn't really seem very nice to me as well. I wonder what the general perception is of that airport from the English themselves. Are we in a full-on bear cycle though? Says the Grateful Dive. No, I don't think so. At least I wouldn't say so just yet, because I'd want to see Bitcoin really below like $70,000 or just below whatever the November lows were from last year. Okay, it's a little bit lower than 70. It's closer to like $67,000. As long as Bitcoin's above there, I'm still going to hold on to a little bit of hopium for this. But can I make a good argument that this is a bear market and it's going to be coming down much lower for much longer? I could also make a pretty good argument for that, but for now, I hold on to a little bit more hopium. Again, as long as that condition is not violated. So that would be, like I said, $67,000. Below there, okay, probably going to see like 50, I guess. And maybe that becomes like a cycle low. And if Bitcoin really were entering into like a real bear run right now, like a real bear market cycle, then that would effectively fully confirm that the 4-year cycle that many people rely on for Bitcoin is done. It's kaput, and I'd be expecting a major change in just the way that this thing operates on a year-to-year basis. So like I said, if that were to happen, again, we're very far away from that actually happening, but if that were to happen, I'd be looking for Bitcoin to come down to about $50,000, give or take a few bucks from that number. I would actually look at that as a potential, low for the cycle. I mean, that would be a pretty massive reduction in price. That would be close to a 60% reduction from the highs. And we have seen the drawdowns from cycle high to cycle low go down every cycle, not by a whole hell of a lot, but by something. This last one was 77.5%. The one before that was 84.25%. The one before that was 86.5%. You get the idea. It's been slowly getting not as bad as time goes on. So would 60% do it? It still seems a little bit on the lower end to me, but I guess we'll figure it out if that does happen. Again, that's really fucking far away anyways. I think the macro cycle is just completely out of sync with our 4-year halving cycle. And so now we are all confused. I don't know, honestly. I really don't know. What do you think about Sui, says Karim? Sure, man. We can look at Sui over here. Sui, it sounds like a fucking Pokemon's name. Where's my Sui derp over here? There we go. Yeah, 230. Again, almost the same chart as what we've seen many times today. This one's a little bit on the weaker side, though. I do think, just like many of the other ones, it's probably going to come down close to this low, which is around $2. Does it make it slightly higher low? Does it make it slightly lower low? Is it the same low? I don't fucking know, but somewhere in that region there, I would be looking for, a bounce. And if that bounce can reclaim essentially yesterday's high at $2.50, and I'd be looking for the bounce to really get going for a big move, probably closer to $3, and maybe this thing's actually going to be okay. But until that happens, I still remain with my top call here. Yes, this is a good bounce area, so that's why I really don't think it goes much lower than what it's already seen without like a bigger bounce. But long term, this one has a lot more characteristics of a major high than not. So I suppose we'll see. Like, let's say the quarterly closes something like this. If the next quarter even just trades below 196, which is the low of this quarter, then that would make me like fully convicted in my, in just being massively bearish on this thing, looking for it to come down below $1. But that's still well and far away. So give it a chance to bounce first, see how high it gets. If it can reclaim 250, maybe it has a chance. At least I'd be looking for a really big bounce after that, closer to $3, and then come back to it after that, if it's still alive. Please look at Bounce 24-hour, please. Is this a real coin? Bounce coin. It is actually it's a token. A token on Coinbase. Amazing. Okay. Elsa says it sounds gay. Well, actually, it's quite good. whatever the hell this thing is. I do think that you are going to pull back here again, just like it's like the opposite but equal scenario that we've seen many times today. This one's retesting a prior major high. So very, very common. You're going to pull back from a region like that. I think you're already seeing that underway here. And I think it will pull back more, maybe closer to like $35 overall. But this is actually a bullish chart. One of the only bullish charts that we've seen today. The monthly is looking at me like it's gonna break out probably to new highs within the next couple months, assuming that this month can close out above about $30. So yeah. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this, to be honest. This is like the first chart that we've seen today that looks completely different than everything else. Like completely fucking different than everything else. What's up, Mr. Crypto Clown? Damn, Krown, still up. What's cracking? Yeah, man. This is the routine, sir. Tuesdays and Fridays. How dare you to skip the ICP? I mean, like it's still just as bad as it was a few days ago, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's just as bad as it was a few days ago. Does it bounce here or not? Does it retest the lows before bounce? Again, don't fucking care. This thing could bounce up all the way to $8 and I'd still be massively bearish on it. Long term, the direction is the same. Long term, this thing's coming back down below $4, but that can take many months to play out, obviously. Is there going to be bounces in between? Sure. But long term, the direction is the same for something like this. Again, this is a 2021 shitcoin that didn't even not get anywhere near its prior all-time high. Like it's not even in the same fucking universe as its prior all-time high. That is, it would need a 2,772% move. So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah. Not a big fan of that one, man. All right. Hello, Orca. What is this? Is this a request? Is this a coin? Oh God. What could this be? It is a coin on Coinbase after all as well. And also one that's getting to pop out of nowhere. Pretty impressive, I guess. Long term though, let me actually go to a higher time frame. Okay. All right. A little bit more context here. Long term, all rallies fail. How high does this one get before it fails? Maybe it gets up to like 4.5 first and then it fails. Something like that. We've seen all prior rallies fail on extreme volatility reads. So this one's already printing an extreme volatility read right here, but I don't expect it to fail like today. It's gonna stay up there for a while first. So yeah, should try again a little bit higher, but if history is anything to go off of, which typically is, that will be a liquidity event. We will call it a liquidity event. Sol ETH. What's up? What's up, Marco? Sol ETH. Yeah, we can look at this one. I think we looked at this like a couple weeks ago, and I'm still staying with my top call here on Solana versus Ethereum, meaning that I'd be favoring Ethereum over Solana here, probably within the next few months. But to be fair, the weekly is actually a bit of a trading range. Let me actually just directly highlight this trading range. To the upside, 79, 77. To the downside, 0.05, 320, something like that. Technically, it's not like full on bearish until you break below the bottom end of this, but I think that this one's going to be coming down, man. All higher term time frame momentum oscillators are pointing pretty heavily to the downside here. I imagine there's likely bearish divergence as well. Let's see what we have here. Solana, Ethereum. Actually, that last lower high had a hidden bearish divergence, but let's see. Yeah, coming off of the all-time high here, there is a little bit. So yeah, I do think that you get a downside move here within the next couple months. But it might spend a lot of time going sideways first before that downside move, with bounces in between as usual. Moon Raccoon says thoughts on CRV daily, weekly. If what I have in my mind for this chart is what the chart is, then sir, this thing's never known what a low is. It just had a hidden bearish divergence on the monthly RSI as well. I mean, it's very similar to a lot of the other things that we've seen today. It's like in the short term, do I think that it retests around yesterday's low? Maybe, somewhere around there, maybe slightly higher, maybe slightly lower, maybe exactly on the low, probably bounces from there. But long term, I think that this one ultimately fails. So is this like Is this a low? I mean, it might be a low. Yes. I mean, Jesus Christ. When I go to the daily, that's very clearly not happening here. Hidden bearish divergence, multiple drives coming off the last few highs. I think that this one comes down, yeah, again, closer to those lows first before anything else. And then maybe get a bounce, and where does this thing actually flip around and become bullish on a bounce? Well, I'm not saying that it's impossible for it to happen, but I need to see it above about 60 cents. So we'll see what happens, I guess. Until then, the direction is down, and I don't really see that changing. I mean, it's never changed for this thing, to be fair. So yeah. All right. Let's see. Nike Bison says L3 USDT. Okay. This is a new one as well. We've actually seen a lot of new shit today, which is interesting. And another one that looks much different than most other things. Like, this is very bizarre. This is why I love these live streams. You learn about all this shit that's in its own fucking stratosphere, I guess. Okay, this, I mean, if you're going by classical TA, you might call this an inverted head and shoulders, with your neckline right here. I can kind of see it, I guess. A little bit of a Quasimodo humpback right there, but that's okay. Anyways, your implied target would actually be around the prior all-time highs. If that does play out, 15 cents. Needs to remain above the breakout point of about 8 cents on a closing basis for that to remain viable, I suppose. It's not really a good sign that it's given up all these gains so quickly already, but I would still give it the benefit of the doubt just personally. Yeah, looking for some obvious again. I'm inclined to say this thing probably does work its way sideways and up from here. I'd only get bearish on it. I'd only get like truly bearish on it if it takes out yesterday's low at just under 6 cents. Until then, I guess it has a chance here. It does make me a little bit concerned, that I see Bitcoin going one way, and then, is something like this not going to follow? Well, it didn't follow yesterday, so maybe there is something to it, but usually that's not the right call, historically. Anyways, wow, that Orca looks like a damn good chart. Which one was that again? I'm curious. Orca, yes. I think you will get a good opportunity first. Or sorry, you will get a good opportunity, but I think it rallies more first. Yeah, I think it rallies more first. Ideally, we'd get some hidden bearish divergence on the weekly RSI, but that would at least take like another month to even formulate, and this thing could go much higher before then. So we'll see. We shall see. AI tech for Dan Bridge. We can look at AI tech. I wonder what they do. I wonder what AI tech does. All right, not good. Whatever they do, it's not good. Wow, it's like I already drew out the LARP lines here, but again, very similar to just about everything else. It's like you got the same potential for hidden bearish divergence here. I think that very likely does play out. This one probably comes closer to the lows at 2.5 cents. Again, is it a slightly higher low, slightly lower low? Is it the same low? I don't fucking know. But in this region here, I mean, you're basically at your prior all-time lows. You're very likely to bounce around a region like that. I'm not saying that that's like a good thing, but you're probably going to see a bounce before any sort of further major continuation to new all-time lows. So yeah, man. Heavily bearish long-term as long as you're below. I mean, where even is the breakdown? Where do you even mark the breakdown point on this thing? 9 cents. Yeah, it's got a lot of work to do. It's got the classic dead heartbeat chart that you see from prior cycle shitcoins. Mo Sanchez says, if you were in a position and for whatever reason TradingView went down for a prolonged period, what would be your go-to alternative? Well, TradingView going down would be a big problem for me because all of my strategies are automated. Like, the reason why I shill the Quant Prime service over here is because I use it all the time. I mean, that's how I do my trading. So if TradingView went down for a prolonged period of time, I would assume that it would cease to send signals to my what's it called, my third party executor account, which is Alertatron, and so I'd no longer be able to trade, at least in this method. So what would I do? I mean, if like I absolutely just had to fucking scratch the itch of trading, I would just, I guess, chart on some exchange, some nameless exchange or DEX tools or whatever it might be. But that would only be in an emergency situation. Ideally, I'd just wait. Like, I'm not in a rush for things. It's that wouldn't really make sense for me to risk something in that situation when I can probably just wait it out. Trading view, it's not perfect, but at least they usually fix issues quite quickly. Very rarely does it fully go down, and when it does go down, it's usually not more than like 5 to 10 minutes. So I'd say it's probably going to be a non-event. So I would just take it as an opportunity to kind of shut off the charts and not really be looking at much. Moon Raccoon says, not to nitpick, but I asked for CRV daily and weekly, but we only looked at the monthly and daily. I mean, if the daily and the monthly are both bad, then, of course, the weekly is probably not going to be good as well, man. But we can look at it really quickly. I don't have anything different to say about the weekly here, to be honest, man. I think that you will get a bounce when you get some hidden bullish divergence on the weekly RSI, but that would obviously imply that this thing probably has another try lower first, maybe closer to like 32 cents or so. But overall, I still think you're going to bounce somewhere around here. I still think that bounce likely fails, just because all bounces have failed on this thing. Heavily bearish long term as long as you're below, this last major high from December. So to me, it's like, look, you have a prior cycle shitcoin. It didn't get nowhere near its prior cycle highs. I mean, like, not even close, like not even fucking close. So this is a 400% move from December highs to that last prior high. So to me, it's just like, look, the long-term direction is the same. What sort of path does it take to get there? Can come in many different forms. I think best case scenario, honestly, my best case scenario for this thing, so I don't think it's going to flip around, is you get a bounce to like 61, 62 cents and then come back down again and make new lows. Do you even get something like that? Maybe, but the long-term direction is the same here, man. It looks pretty bad to me, to be honest. Not saying that you won't get your pops here and there, but that's a different game. So yeah. All right. Cadena for Wesley. Yeah, we can look at Cadena. How deep into this live stream are we? Okay, just an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah, we're fine. Same shit as all the other charts. It's almost the exact same fractal of a chart. Hidden bearish divergence right here. I think that you're going to come back down to this low, maybe make a slightly new low. Is this Cadena? Oh shit, this thing is actually, I thought that this thing was actually like good, but I must be thinking of a different chart because this is bad. Yeah, short term, probably retest this low. I'm more inclined to say you're going to bounce along that low again. Maybe it comes a little bit lower. If it does, I'd be looking no further than whatever this low from July 2021 was at 32.5 cents. Should have a decent bounce there. See what happens after that. I guess the bullish view here is that, okay, well, it's just one massive accumulation range. It's just going to take a long time, but it will get another try to the upside. It'd be something like this. But obviously that would imply that this thing absolutely must remain above about 32.5 cents. So, I mean, if it can do that, then I guess the bull hopium still remains alive. But yeah, this one actually quite similar to the monthly of CRV, hidden bearish divergence here. On the monthly RSI, you don't see that too often, and when you do, it's usually a time to pay attention. Now, to be fair, I mean that did confirm back in January. It's already come down a good amount from then. It's come down another 67% from that signal. Like Jesus, so it's like, can you get a bounce first and then roll over later? Sure, but again, it just doesn't really change the long term for me. Still ugly. Not you, sir. You're not ugly, but this chart, very fucking ugly. And we have moi moi, the two of the words that I know best in Finnish, moi and moi moi. It is also me in French. That is true. Maybe he's Finnish, maybe he's French. Who the hell knows? Krown, can you have a laugh at ZCX, please? This rings a bell. Like, what is this from? This must be like a really old thing. Wow. If there's an award for worst chart of the day, this one would actually win it. Not only is it the same sort of long-term nasty downtrend that is just on a long-term path towards zero. But this one's literally already on new lows. And even the weakest of the shitcoin charts that we looked at today were at least still above their prior all-time lows. This thing has already made new all-time lows. I think it's going to continue to make new all-time lows for a long time, man. Wow. What a fucking failure. Not you, this chart, however, very much a failure. Very much a failure. Very much we have to do it yet again. We have to drop, we have to press the red button and fire off the nuke. By the way, last night, myself and Elsa watched about half of The Waterboy. Great movie. Great fucking movie. Don't know if they could make it today. It's extremely offensive. Jesus Christ, man. Those Adam Sandler movies from like 20, 30 years ago are just, they're so fucking good. They're so fucking good. They are. Like when the quarterback just makes fun of Adam Sandler. He's like, "Oh, you're a water boy." It's like you can't do that, man. just hilarious.
Yes, you can and you should.
Watch Little Nicky. Actually, I was thinking about that one as last. I also found a new movie. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm very excited to watch it. It's called Butt Boy, and it's about a detective who is on the case of a criminal who has been, putting objects and people and also pets up his angus and killed them, and he murdered them. Very, very bad. Anyways, we watched Murder Mystery 2 last night. Pretty funny. Actually, it must be one of those one of those ones. That one I haven't heard of. Little Nicky. Yeah, Little Nicky is a classic as well. I completely forgot about that one. I wonder if it's on YouTube. Let me see. Is it on YouTube? I'm gonna look it up right now. Little Nicky. Curious. It is. Fuck yeah. Oh my God, we can watch this one as well. Jesus, that might be one of my favorite ones, honestly. Great fucking movie, man. Adam Sandler is just super cool as well. I don't know if you guys have heard his interview on Joe Rogan, but he seems like legitimately the most down to earth guy. I mean, maybe it's an act, who knows? But a lot of people say that as well. Let's see. David Middleton says, pooping meme. What was ITVU used to show? A rhino? Wait, what? ITV? Is this a ticker or something? Happy Gilmore and Billy. Yeah, Happy Gilmore is one of my most favorites as well. Billy Madison I like, but not as much. Happy Gilmore is fucking great, man. It really is. Did you see that they're making a second one? We watched the trailer for it last night, but they're making a second one. I think it's going to be a straight to Netflix movie, but yeah, man. Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston together, very funny. Yeah, man. GM, can you take a look at AVAX for Chattimus? Chattimus. Sure, man. AVAX. Let's see what this one's doing. All right. Well, it continues to go down. It has traded below its 2024 lows. It's actually closed. No, it has not closed below those lows, but it's closed below those closing lows, to be fair. Yeah, to me, this chart is entering into the long-term death spiral, dead heartbeat. Again, a 2021 shitcoin got nowhere near its prior high. I mean, better than the other ones, to be fair, but still about more than a 100% move off. To me, that's never a good sign, man. Does this thing get a bounce here? Does it not? Yeah. Long-term down, long-term, I do think that you're going to be coming closer to your 2023 lows in the low teens, like 11, 12 bucks, something like that. Maybe it stops there. Maybe this is just one massive reaccumulation here, in which case, we'd be expecting something like this to play out. You just rejected the top side, so you're coming down to the bottom side. Okay, just don't want to see any closures below here. Otherwise, it's continuation rather than accumulation, in fact. Marco Escobar says, thank you. Have you seen Wolf of Wall Street? Of course, man. When I was actually working in an actual pit, that was a very popular movie. All of the middle-aged men there who I worked with as a young 20-something, they thought it was hilarious and also very accurate as well, because they were actually around during those times. Although, of course, I was on the exchange of New York Stock Exchange ARCO, which is on the West Coast, and that movie takes place, I believe, on the East Coast, probably on NYSE or around NYSE. Anyways, what do you say about ENA, Mr. latest Krown 10x. I know that Arthur Haynes love it, which I mean, you know, he's usually pretty good with stuff, but as far as charts go, yeah, I don't love it, man. I really don't love it. My LARP line here ultimately goes down. It didn't get the bounce that I was looking for. I still think that you're probably, you know, just like a lot of these other things, you're around prior major lows, probably going to bounce around a region like this, at least an attempt, but the second that you start to close below 31.5 cents is the second where I say, hey, this thing is going to make new all-time lows. You know, I'm looking for excuses here, but most things I look at say look lower. But if you want to go by the book, then yeah, I'd want to see a closure below there first. That's again 31.5 cents. Daily time frame, just like all the other things we looked at today, another drive of hidden bearish divergence on a lower high. I think you're going to at least test around this low slash 31.5 cents. And, you know, if it closed below there, well, I think that this thing is going to print new lows within a month. Yes, the bearish rhino meme, I miss it too. This one? Wait, what? Oh, Fartcoin. You want to look at some Fartcoin? We can look at some Fartcoin. I'm actually genuinely curious where it's at now. It's been a long time since I've looked at really any of the meme coins. I imagine they're all at all-time highs, right? Fartcoin, not at all-time highs. It's seen the Burj Khalifa pattern. Just goes straight up and then straight fucking down. Doesn't that look like the Burj Khalifa? Are you watching? Elsa says yes. What is your analysis, Elsa, on Bitcoin?
It will go down and then up.
It will go down and then up.
But it's gonna take a while.
It's going to take a while. And about how long will it go down?
How long?
How long or how low? Do you have an idea?
For a while.
For a while. So more than a few weeks.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. More than a few weeks. And it goes much lower than where it's already gone here, or?
Yes.
It goes much lower.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then it's gonna go much higher.
Yes.
Ah, okay. So then it goes up after that. I see. Well, that's interesting. Anyways, Fartcoin here.
I'm not selling.
One Elsa says she's not selling. Fartcoin, one fart still equals one fart, I guess. But you know, this is kind of in the same predicament that I've seen on many other things. It's already retested that prior low from December of 2024. I think that you do get a pity bounce here. You know, pity bounce could even bring you close to like $1, but I'm not saying it's going to get all the way up to the $1. It's just, it could get somewhere close to there. That's fine. But you know, again, I think that this thing's topped out for life, most likely, or at least this cycle. You know, to say something's topped out for life is like, maybe it's a little bit too aggressive, but at least this cycle, I think it's going to be many moons if this thing ever really, you know, gives a legitimate try towards this high ever again, to be honest. But yeah, long term, the direction is the same. The real question is, does it get a bounce first? I'm more inclined to say it is, just because it's around that last prior low. It really hasn't seen like a crazy bounce just yet. Well, to be fair, it's actually it's up more than 50% from the lows. So maybe that is it. I don't know. The direction is the same long term. It's going fucking down, man. It's bad. It's bad. Hey, what's up, Caretaker? Good morning to you as well, sir. I take it you've switched around your schedule, huh? Could you check RHM, Euro Defense Stock? Actually, this would be very interesting to see. RHM. Okay, this is Rhine. Oh, definitely German. All right. Blow off top. You already know this, though. I'm surprised to see that there's not bearish divergence here on the weekly, maybe on the monthly. No, it's actually not on the monthly as well. We're seeing extreme volatility on monthly. Yes, it's just one tick there. You know, maybe this takes another couple of months to like really populate, but weekly is obviously there. Daily, I'm sure, got there and stayed there. It did. You know, I look at this as a very important high right here, and I think, you know, long term, it's got a good chart, obviously, and long term, it's hard not to love. But in the short term, I do think that you've seen a high for a very long time. And I think you're going to trade a little bit sideways and down here. You know, maybe retesting this low at 1,200, maybe coming a little bit lower towards the $1,000 gap right here. You know, you saw Yeah, 1, 2, 3 drives of bearish divergence on the daily RSI. Whenever I see something like that, man, I'm looking for a prolonged correction, at least down to the 21, which is the yellow moving average right here, which you've already seen, to be fair, and in many cases down to the 55, which is closer to that gap at 1,000 or a little bit above 1,000. We're also seeing some downside signals over here as well. So to me, yeah, this one, I think it's seen a high for a while. Can I be wrong about it? Sure. I mean, that is a fucking hell of a move. Let's see what it looks like on log scale. Yeah, I mean, long term, I love it. short term / medium term, I think it comes down. Spends a little bit of time going sideways, at least, reaccumulating something like this. I mean, this last reaccumulation phase took what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months to get moving again. Might be the same here as well, man. See what it looks like from this angle as well. What are we getting on our momentum oscillators? Are we seeing them turn down all simultaneously? Weekly is down. Monthly is actually up above 1,200 or so. Quarterly, getting ready to come down. Yeah, we're getting ready to come down. The quarter. I think that next quarter you see this one retrace quite a fair bit, close to 1,000, and then maybe it tries to get to the upside from there. But yeah, European defense stock. I mean, it's got the narrative on its side, right? Europe is trying to rearm again, so I imagine this thing plays into that equation, or at least a perception of it does. But it seems like the initial sort of hype on that move is over, and it's time to get ready for a little bit of a boring period, and then maybe later on down the road it gives another try, because quarterly is not necessarily bearish, I'd say. Lev Ashen says, "Jup USDT, please don't nuke it, sir." I actually have it on my list over here. I used to watch this one a lot, but I've since dumped it. That was back a little bit above $1. In hindsight, could have been better, but. Yeah, this thing, again, it's very similar to a lot of the other charts. You're back around pretty much your all-time low. And it's like, okay, yes, this is bearish. Yes, this is in a downtrend. Yes, everything points lower overall. But is it likely to get a bounce here first? I could easily see it bounce to like 65 to 70 cents. It doesn't do anything, though. It doesn't do anything. Your last lower high is all the way at 105. So it's got a lot of work to do. Daily time frame, I'm guessing you're going to see the same hidden bearish divergence here. Let's see. Where's my JUP? No, there's actually not hidden bearish divergence here. Yeah, it did not get anywhere near actually that last high of March. So I still think it's going to come down and test around this low and then probably bounce. This one could very easily make a new low, though. I mean, the monthly is a breakdown. Like, again, make no mistake about it. Long term, whether it bounces here or not, I don't really care. I think that this thing is coming much lower long term. But, the monthly is like literally spilling over. But do you get a bounce before then? I'm inclined to say yes, just because it's around that prior low, but I can be wrong about that for sure. I am gay, and so TA. I need more TA. Need more TA for my bungholio. Yes, indeed. The singularity is a lot gayer than I thought it would be. We're all becoming one. What else did you think that meant? I mean, it's quite clear. We're all becoming one. We're all going to enter into each other, just like the night man becomes the day man, and we're going to enter into each other's souls.
You gotta pay the troll toll.
Yes, you got to pay the troll toll if you want to get in this boy's hole. Can you fill my water, por favor? Oh shit, my doctor is calling me.
Remember,
All right, I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna mute myself, guys. I need to talk to my doctor really quick. Okay, we're back. The surgery went well. All right, we'll do a few more. Actually, probably should just ended the stream. We're already getting pretty deep into this one, but diagnosis equals gay. That's right. I caught the gays because, well, live with one, actually. I hope all these memes go to zero, says Daniel Sun. Nothing ever really truly goes to zero, but yeah, they will all trend towards zero, at least most of them. Some memes do survive, to be fair. I mean, PP and Doggy Coin have stood the test of time at this point, I think. Or has PP? I don't, actually, maybe I'm wrong on that one. I know we looked at it earlier, but at least it has cycle higher lows from cycle to cycle. It's better than most, but yeah, Doggy One seems to be the one that that continues to live. Late stage gay for TA, yes, it's very true. I do not. I already knew, but I needed to take a test just to just to confirm. Finglet says, "Oh no, prognosis." It could be, man. It could be. Okay. I'm looking for, banana. We can do banana really quick, and then we'll TA AIDS. Banana coin. If there ain't any other ones after this one, we'll shut it off. But banana coin, as you would expect, doing absolutely amazingly. At least it's bouncing a lot more than a lot of the other shitcoins that we've seen today. It's already had a 140% bounce. Great place for another lower high right here. Unfortunately, double extremes on daily BBWP. So I'm actually inclined to say it's probably going to top out pretty much where you see it out right now and come back down towards the lows. That's when I look at the daily. When I look at the weekly, it's like, bounce probably carries on a little bit more, maybe towards $30. But the long term is the same. Long term is the same. Yeah, when I look at the weekly and monthly, I'm inclined to say it probably bounces closer to $30 first and then rolls over, but the direction is the same. Daily, since daily would suggest right here is a good place for a lower high. It's like, what time frame do I want to get bearish on? There's all of them. Die memes die. The market is healing. All right, we'll do these last couple ones. Solana for Gary and Jedi Ancient, Kato. Yeah, go ahead. It's fine. I'm gonna end it after these two. Terrible, absolutely terrible. Big surprise. What yet again? Very, very bad here. Even in the short term, another lower high into hidden bearish divergence. I look at this one as coming back down to 130 or so. Does it just make new lows from there? Sure, it can. I mean, this thing has entered into the Burj Khalifa dead heartbeat pattern, likely for quite some time. Not much of a monthly to look at, but all time frames that I look at looking pretty bad. Question is, when do you get bounces? Bounces can come out of nowhere for some like this, but the direction is the same. All right. Oh, Intel. I'll look at Intel. That's actually one of the few stocks that I own myself, like individual stocks that I own. Solana, we'll do Solana and then Intel. 128. Let's go to the weekly. Again, you're on the bottom side of this range here. It's like maybe it does break over a longer period of time, but I don't think it's going to break on this particular move to the downside. I think you're in a bouncy area. I think that this thing could easily bounce up to like 160, maybe even 180, over the next month and a half to 2 months, but don't like the higher term timeframes here. So it's like, yeah, probably bounces, but I do think longer term, this thing actually does come down below $100, but I can change my mind on that, I guess. Let's see how high the bounce gets first. Where would I really change my mind on things? That would have to be above, the March highs here. Above the March highs, okay, bullish, but until then, I'd be looking at moves to the upside as likely lower highs. Okay, and then Intel. All right, Intel I got right here. Intel, like I said, is one of the few stocks that I own, not because I think it has the best chart of all time, but because I'm extremely long-term and, I use their products all the time. I'm trying to adopt the, what's his name? I've been reading a lot of long-term investing type books from the legends. Wait, let me bring this one up right here. Who is this? This is Peter. Yeah, Peter Lynch. Peter Lynch makes a lot of sense to me. But yeah, as far as Intel goes, one of the reasons why I bought it is, yes, it's had a nice big downside move. I'm thinking, 10, 15 years down the road, it's come back down to these lows, probably going to bounce around these lows. I think worst case scenario, maybe it comes down to like your monthly range lows here at like $13. To me, it's like, okay, it's not a huge position, but, I think you're generally going to bounce here on the monthly. You do see that there is many drives of bullish evidence on the monthly RSI. So I think that this bounce hasn't fully played out just yet on the, on the higher term timeframes. In fact, I'd even say this one still is probably more likely to bounce here, especially as long as it's above the last week's low. I'm looking for this bounce to emerge a little bit more, maybe even all the way up to like $35, $36. Again, that's going to take some time. When I look at the daily, it's like, all right, do we see a short-term downside move first to fill the gap at $21.50 and then try an upside move? Maybe. It's possible. I really don't have strong opinions on this. Again, I'm like super, super long-term on something like this. But I'm going to favor a bounce within a region like this. Also, monthly extremes on BBWP. You just don't see this too often. And the quarterly, I think, is coming off of the 200 simple, and it's on regular bullish divergence as well. It'll probably confirm on the next quarterly. I imagine I am front running it there, to be fair, but yeah, that's kind of what I'd be looking for. It's like, okay, does it come back down and retest those lows? Maybe close there, maybe not. Don't have strong opinions on that. My strong opinion is on a big bounce out of this region. I do think at some point it's going to get into like mid 30s, maybe even low 40s. Come back to it after that. All right, last one for the camel's toe. Clanker. Is this some sort of derogatory term for a robot? Token bot. Okay, it's not much history here, as you would expect. Not going off of much on this one. Whenever I don't have much to go off of, because this one is generally just sideways over the long period of time, I'm gonna default to what I think is the rest of the market is doing. But to be fair, I mean, this thing is actually holding it up in a decent place here. And certainly over the last couple of months, it doesn't look anything like Bitcoin nor the other majors or most cryptos. It's just been going sideways, which probably should be considered a win, granted everything that's happened in the past month and a half. So, I'd probably treat this one with a little bit of leniency here. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to mark off. But as long as it's above about $51.50, I guess I could be cautiously bullish on it. Looking for another try up closer to 100. But if it starts to close below 51, at that point, I'd be looking for a high probability move down to like 30, 35 region, and then come back to it after that. So yeah, man, that's what we'll end it for today. Really appreciate everyone coming out for this nice little live stream. We'll continue to do these on Tuesdays and Fridays. I love all of our moderators as well, keeping everyone nicely engaged. Beautiful stuff. And yeah, we'll be signing off on that note. And as always, I want to wish you the best. I'll upload a very small portion of the Bitcoin analysis later today. And